Students, let us discuss a new name to reaction today, that is Cannizzaro reaction. Cannizzaro reaction is an important reaction which is named after discoverer Stanislao Cannizzaro, and it is a chemical reaction that involves the base-induced disproportionation of two molecules of non-enolizable aldehydes to give a primary alcohol and a carboxylic acid. So that is a basic definition of what is Cannizzaro reaction. But before entering into the definition, let me say what is a disproportionation reaction. Actually, disproportionation reaction have a little change between the redox reaction. So what is a redox reaction? Actually, redox reactions involve the reduction of one reactant and the oxidation of another reactant. But disproportionation reaction means it is a redox reaction in which a molecule, a atom or ion is simultaneously oxidized and reduced, since it involves both the gain and loss of electrons. So once again I will say you that a disproportionation reaction means it is a reaction in which a compound undergoes oxidation as well as a reduction, that is called the disproportionation reaction. That is, the same substance is undergoing oxidation as well as a reduction. Anyway, Cannizzaro reaction means it is a disproportionation reaction of aldehydes. The aldehyde is in such a way that without having an alpha hydrogen, and that reaction takes place in the presence of a strong bases such as sodium hydroxide and potassium hydroxide. And due to this reaction, the aldehydes that are taken is changes into products such as alcohols and a carboxylic acid. And this reaction is called the Cannizzaro reaction. Here we have taken the two molecules of aldehyde. Out of the two molecules, one molecule of aldehyde is reduced to alcohol and the other molecule of aldehyde is oxidized to carboxylic acid. That is shown here. This is a aldehyde that is taken, and what type of aldehyde it is taken? This is a aldehyde that doesn't have an alpha hydrogen, and out of that this aldehyde is converting into an alcohol and it is converting into a carboxylic acid. The main point that you should note here is that the aldehyde that you are taken does not have any alpha proton. That means that aldehyde that are enolizable, that term will be non for you, but again I am repeating that the reaction only works, the Cannizzaro reaction only works with an aldehyde that are non-enolizable. But there's another condition can also takes place. That means in case of aldehydes that do not have alpha hydrogen, the aldol condensation reaction takes place preferably. Anyway, I am telling you two example for this Cannizzaro reaction. First one is the formaldehyde. Formaldehyde, if undergoing if undergoing Cannizzaro reaction, that is the formaldehyde is disproportionated to formic acid and the methyl alcohol. That means the aldehyde is changes into an acid group and an alcoholic group in the presence of a strong alkali. Here that equation is given. The formaldehyde is reacted in the presence of sodium hydroxide, which is a strong base, and out of that the first one molecule of the formaldehyde is converted into a methanol. That is, it is reduced to methanol, and other molecule of formaldehyde is oxidized to acidic group, that is a formic acid. Here this reaction can also be shown as like this. The two formaldehyde in the presence of NaOH is taking into HCO minus Na plus and methanol. The other example is that we know that the formaldehyde and benzaldehyde are the aldehyde that doesn't have any alpha hydrogen. So the next example will be sure it is benzaldehyde. Benzaldehyde can be converted into a corresponding acid, that is benzoic acid, and benzyl alcohol. The benzoic acid can also shown as sodium benzoate or potassium benzoate. Anyway, it can shown. Here it is a equation. This is an equation given here. Two benzaldehyde molecule, and in the presence of sodium hydroxide, it is converting into a benzyl alcohol and benzoic acid. That is that aldehyde is undergoing reduction and oxidation to forms the product. That means the disproportionation reaction is taking place. Here the benzaldehyde in the presence of KOH, we can also shown like this, that is C6H5CO minus K plus and C6H5CH2OH. And the mechanism of Cannizzaro reaction is very important, and it consisting of the three steps. And the first step is that you can see here This is an aldehyde. This is aldehyde group, and OH minus is attracting to here, and it is forming a dianion. Here you can see a dianion. So two negative charges are here. So that is a negative dianion. You can see how it is forming. A nucleophile such as hydroxide ion is used to attack at the carbonyl group of the given aldehyde. We know that the carbonyl carbon is an electrophilic in nature, so the nucleophilic attack is possible at the carbonyl carbon. It's causing a disproportionation reaction and give rise to an anion carrying two negative charges. This is a dianion that carrying two negative charges, and the nucleophile is attacked at the electrophilic carbon, and it forms a product, and after that again the nucleophile is attacking and the dianion is formed. And this dianion is an intermediate, and it functions as a hydride reducing agent. This dianion is unstable, and it is act as a hydride reducing agent, and this dianion is proceeding in the next step. You can see we can go through the second step. So this is the second step. The resulting intermediate, that is the intermediate that is already formed in the step 1, can now function as a hydride reducing agent. That dianion is a hydride reducing agent. Due to its unstable nature, the intermediate releases a hydride anion. That intermediate releases a hydride anion. This hydride anion proceeds to attack another aldehyde. This hydride is attacked with the another aldehyde molecule. We know that the two aldehyde molecules are taken, or two aldehyde molecules are involved in the Cannizzaro reaction. Out of that, first molecule is converted into dianion, and that dianion is a hydride reducing agent. That hydride is proceed to attack another aldehyde molecule now. And now the doubly charged anion, if that hydride is given to the next aldehyde, then doubly charged anion is converted into carboxylate anion, and the other aldehyde is converted into an alkoxide anion. So here you can see how the hydride transfer is shown. Here this is a dianion which is an unstable and hydride reducing agent. This dianion gives an hydride to the other aldehyde group, so that this dianion can changes into a carboxylate anion, and the other aldehyde group can convert it into an alkoxide anion. So that is happening in the step 2. And the next step 3 means it is a final step in the Cannizzaro reaction. In this final step, the water plays an important role here. The water offers a proton to the alkoxide anion, which give rise to the final alcohol product. That is, the alkoxide anion is changing into alcohol product, and the reaction can proceed since the alkoxide is more basic than water. And after that, we know that there is a carboxylate ion also. The carboxylate ion gives rise to final carboxylic acid. The alkoxide ion is converting into alcohol, and the carboxylate ion is converted into carboxylic acid while in the presence of an acid workup. That you can see here. The carboxylate anion or carboxylate anion is converted in the presence of water. It is and acid, it converting into carboxylic acid, and here also in the alkoxide ion is converting into an alcohol. So this is how we are obtaining the two products, that is the carboxylic acid and the alcohol here. And the main limitation for this reaction is that the aldehydes such as aldehydes that doesn't have an alpha hydrogen can only be used for this reaction. That is the main limitation for the Cannizzaro reaction. That is, only formaldehyde and benzaldehyde can be used for this reaction. And the next reaction, we are entering into the next reaction, that is Crost-Cannizzaro reaction. Crost-Cannizzaro reaction means when a mixture of formaldehyde and a non-enolizable aldehyde. We know that what is a non-enolizable aldehyde. Non-enolizable means an aldehyde with no alpha hydrogen. If a formaldehyde and a non-enolizable aldehyde is treated in presence of a strong base, the latter is preferably reduced to alcohol. That means the second aldehyde is preferably reduced to alcohol, and the formaldehyde is oxidized to formic acid. This reaction is known as a Crost-Cannizzaro reaction, and that is shown here. And the formaldehyde is treated with the benzaldehyde, This is a benzaldehyde, that is the other aldehyde that doesn't have an alpha hydrogen. When it is treated in presence of a strong base, definitely the formaldehyde converted into formic acid and the other aldehyde converted into an alcohol. So this is C6H5 CH2OH, that is the benzyl alcohol. It can also shown like this. The benzaldehyde when treated with the formaldehyde in presence of NaOH, the formaldehyde is converting into the other formic acid. The benzaldehyde undergoing benzaldehyde reduced to form the benzyl alcohol. That is all about the closed Cannizzaro reaction. Next is a very important reaction, that is a Bachmann rearrangement, and its mechanism is also in your syllabus, so it is very important for you. Actually, the Bachmann rearrangement is an important rearrangement named after the German chemist Ernst Otto Bachmann, 1853 to 1923, and it is an acid catalyzed conversion of ketoxime to amides and is known as a Bachmann rearrangement. Here the oximes or the ketoximes or aldoxime is converted into its corresponding amides. Basically, the ketoximes is converted into amides. Here oxime is, for how the oxime is produced is also given here. In the carbonyl group is converted to oxime in the presence of NH2OH, and the OH in the oxime in the presence of an acid and heat. The rearrangement is taking place in the molecule. So no other reactant is taking place here. Here the rearrangement is taking place to this reactant and converted into an amide form. That is called the Bachmann rearrangement. Here the ketoxime, in another format you can shown like this, the ketoxime is converted into an amide in the presence of an acid. The normally used reagents are concentrated sulfuric acid, HCl, PCl5, PCl3, SOCl2 is ZnOSiO2, and polyphosphoric acid, that is PPA, are the commonly used reagents in the Bachmann rearrangement. One example is given here, that is a benzophenone. This is a benzophenone. Before that, there is a step in which how the oxime is produced in the presence of NH2OH. Benzophenone oxime is converted into benzanilide here in the presence of CH3COOH and HCl. Here another example is also given here, the cyclohexanone. In the presence of NH2OH, the cyclohexanone is converting into a cyclohexanone oxime. This is an oxime, and this oxime is converting into an the product, that is a caprolactam, in the presence of sulfuric acid. Actually, this arrangement occurs in both the cyclic and acyclic compounds. Therefore, we can that is this Bachmann rearrangement can takes place in the cyclic and acyclic compounds. Basically, aldoximes are less reactive. The cyclic oxime yield lactams and acyclic oxime yield amides. So we are discussing the cyclic oximes converting into amides. In the same way, there are cyclic oximes also yielding the lactams. And the mechanism of this Bachmann rearrangement is very, very important, and it is in your syllabus. So you should go through the rearrangement. This rearrangement takes place an alkyl migration with the expulsion of the hydroxyl group to form a nitroleum ion followed by hydrolysis. So there are different types of mechanism. That means different ways in which the mechanism are shown. After that, the two types of mechanism is shown here. The first method is like this, and the other method is like this. Which one is easy for you? You just follow that. So here the ketone. First of all, in the first type of mechanism, the two steps are given. The first step is how the oxime is produced, and after that how the oxime is converted into an alketoxime, or so how the oxime is converted into amide. And here the ketone is taken here by the proper addition of NH2OH to the ketone. You are getting a result, and to that result the electron transfer. You just go through each and every electron transfer that is taking place, but I am here only saying an outline of this mechanism. You go through all the electron transfer that is taking place. So in the second step, through a proper proton transfer, you will get another product. By the elimination of this OH here, you will get another intermediate, and through this intermediate a deprotonation is taking place. This H is leaving here, and as this H is leaved from the this compound, you will get the oxime which is needed for your Bachmann rearrangement, and this oxime is taken here, and this oxime in the presence of sulfuric acid, that is H2SO4 here, and out of that H is considered here, and the transfer of electron is shown as like this, HOSO3. H actually it is H2SO4, and this is the oxime. The electron is transferring, and after that you will get a product, means you will get an intermediate like this, and from this the rearrangement is going to take place. The oxime, in the oxime the rearrangement is taking place. A major rearrangement is taking here. Here the major rearrangement is that the nitrogen is entered into the ring. First of all, it is a ring that consisting only of 5 carbons, and after that, not the 5, it is consisting of the 6 carbon, the benzene ring. It is 6 carbon, and the nitrogen is also entering into the ring. So as the rearrangement takes place, and the leaving of OH2 plus, and this forms a deep nitrogen is entered into the ring, and after that attack at carbocation, this first carbon is formed as a carbon, means a positive charge here, electrophile, and the OH2 is attacked, the attack at carbocation, and you will get an intermediate like this, and through the proper deprotonation you will get another intermediate, and after that through proper electron transferring, finally you will get the amide. Just go through the electron transfer that is taking place here. So this is the one of the method of showing the mechanism. Another method is shown like this. Here how the oxime is produced is not shown. How the oxime is converted into amide is shown here. So if you are interested in this mechanism, you follow this, but I think the above is very suitable for your exam. So that is all about the Bachmann rearrangement. Next we want to discuss the two tests, very important test, that is iodoform test and haloform test. So I think it's enough for today. We can discuss the iodoform and the next test in the next class.